Opposites attract. True or false? Let me know in the comments. People think we're often drawn to folks not like us to help complete us. We all know the friendship crew, where someone is wise and the other one is a doofus, or the boyfriend-girlfriend team where one is like super outgoing, the other one's a total introvert, or the sibling crew where one is super sports forward and the other one's super artsy. I mean, here's the deal. It might be a little true, but generally speaking, false. Almost all of us are likely to spend time with people who are more like us, not less like us. We connect better with people who have similar personalities, similar interests, similar ideas. I mean, it's pretty normal. We not only gravitate toward people like ourselves, we intentionally move away from people who are different. We like people who see the world as we do. It's what we have in common, not our differences that seem to make for great relationships. Having things in common just seems to lead to connection, and it allows us to feel more comfortable. Here's the one big problem with living in our comfort zone. We're surrounded by people who are nothing like us. In our school, in our neighborhood, in our sports team, in our church groups, in our social media feeds, everywhere. Even sometimes in our family, people are not like us. The environments we're in, both physical and digital, are full of people who are completely different from us. Different thoughts, different perspectives, different ideas about the way things should be done and the way life should be lived. No matter where we are, especially at this point in history, it seems like things are more divided than ever. A quick look at social media shows just how opinionated and different everyone is. And instead of those opposites attracting, it's almost like they want to kill each other, like opinions about everything, everywhere, all the time. The best sports team, the best burger, what's the best age to start dating, when should you start wearing makeup, how much homework should a person have, and is it even helpful? And even celebrity gossip divides us. Now those are pretty inconsequential things, but we all know it can get super serious, super fast. Politics, religion, education, parenting. There are some very different views, and people are very passionate about their stands on those things. Drop us a like if you've ever gotten caught up in a debate about a topic you're super interested in. In a polarized world, unity can feel impossible. There are so many opinions and so many divisions. Can we even get to unity? Should we even bother striving for it? How can we even make a difference? Give us a subscribe if you think unity is even achievable. In the first video in this playlist, you can find it right here, we talked about the Lord's Supper. It's the last time Jesus had dinner with his disciples before he was crucified. And after they ate, they went into the garden to pray. And I often wonder how Jesus had the ability to just walk through those last days knowing what was coming. I mean, that's probably why he was praying. Think about this for a minute. If you could pray for anything right now, what would it be? Currently, my prayers would bounce back and forth between more money and a new laptop. And I guess that's really two prayers in one, kind of. Some of you may have more desperate and less shallow prayers, maybe for a family member to be healed or a relationship to be fixed. You can always drop a prayer request in the comments and we'll definitely go to bat for you. But if you were to pray a final prayer, like near the end of your life, what would you pray for? If you had to pray for one thing before you go, what would it be? That's a tougher question to answer, isn't it? I mean, my guess is that what you'd pray for right now isn't the same as what you'd pray for at the end, if the end was near. Why? Because when it's the end, there's a greater sense of urgency. Because time is short, our words matter more. That's why people on their deathbeds often try to repair relationships, get right with God, say all the things they wish they had said for all those years. At the end of our lives, we probably wouldn't pray for a new laptop, more followers, someone to go out with, or to pass geometry. The stakes would be so much higher. So the prayer would be for what's most important. And what did Jesus pray for in that moment? in a moment that was the last moments, I'm praying not only for these disciples, but also for all who will ever believe in me through their message. So Jesus prays for his bros, but then he also prays for all of us. This is in John 17, by the way. I am praying not only for these disciples, but also for all who will ever believe in me through their message. I pray that they will be one, just as you and I are one, as you are in me, Father, and I am in you. May they be in us so that the world will believe that you sent me. I have given them the glory you gave me so they may be one as we are one. I am in them and you are in me. May they experience such perfect unity that the world will know that you sent me and that you love them as much as you love me. It's John 17, verses 20 through 23. Jesus prayed for his disciples and anyone who would ever choose to follow him to be one. In a final prayer, he prayed for his followers to be united. He didn't pray for strength for the church, money for the church, or even courage for the church. He didn't pray for us to be right about everything, to win arguments, or to win debates with the people who have different opinions than us. He prayed for us to be united. Being united means to be for each other, to work with each other, to encourage each other, and fight for each other, and pray for each other, no matter how different we are. Why would that kind of unity be such a big deal? Just like disunity can derail a team, a group, your family, it can also derail the church. It can derail a student ministry. Over time, the church got a lot bigger, and the more people there are, the more opinions there are, the more opportunity to disagree there is. Then throw in stuff like arguing, bickering, and gossiping. It's a wonder the church survived at all. That stuff can destroy even the strongest group. But I think it's even more than that. Think about it like this. Unity doesn't mean we agree on everything all the time. Differences and diversity make us better. But unity does mean we strive to keep moving forward together. It means we keep our focus on what matters most, even while we are still working out the rest. True fans unite around their team, right? Winning, losing, regardless. You can see the unity. They're wearing the same colors. They're experiencing the same highs and the same lows and all the whole game together and defending the team against detractors. You guys know I don't know sports, but I think that's the way it works. Or think about the Swifties, which these days could be sports. People go bonkers at her concerts, singing out the lyrics together. Let's be honest, we love doing that even in a small group, like in a vehicle. But stadium concerts, nothing but a ton of strangers unified by the music and sometimes her breakups. But we've all seen the underbelly of disunity in those things, right? Clawing, competing, trying to shut up the one guy who's bashing your favorite team. Like, who even is that jerk? Let's just take him out, take him down. Or how about this? People aren't unified around the artist and no one shows up. No one comes to the concert. And the few who do don't seem all that into it because there's not a lot of people into it and there's no one to really rally with. Which one seems more fun? Sitting by yourself in a crowded stadium or rocking that place with your besties? How about one more look at what Jesus said? May they experience such perfect unity that the world will know that you sent me and that you love them as much as you love me. Jesus is saying that the way we treat each other will affect what other people believe about him. Our unity will make Jesus' message more believable, and our disunity will potentially do the opposite. Unity does not mean we agree on everything all the time. Differences and diversity make us better. But unity does mean we seek to keep moving forward together. It means that we keep our focus on what matters most, even while we're still working out the rest. That's a huge responsibility for those of us who follow Jesus, because we all have people we care about, people we go to school with, people on our teams, people in our family who don't know Jesus. And our unity or disunity can affect not only whether they come to church, but also what they believe about God. When you think about it that way, unity becomes a much bigger deal. In how we love and treat one another, our unity becomes a way for the world to see God. So how do we become more unified? Especially when we tend to focus more on our differences than on our similarities. Maybe it feels impossible to you. The world and even the church are just too divided, too polarized to shoot for unity. I mean, honestly, it does feel like a big job to tackle. But here's the thing. We are responsible for our own contribution to the unity of the church and our contributions of disunity. You can't help what everyone else is going to do, but you can help what you do. So the reality is this: unity starts with you. Unity starts with you. It begins in your relationships with the people in your small group. It begins in the way you treat people at church and at school. It begins with how you talk about people from our church. It begins with how you treat people from other churches. It begins with how you react when someone who follows Jesus frustrates you, like Nick Clayson. It begins when you realize that your family is not exempt from Jesus's prayer for unity. And usually for unity to work and grab the attention of those around you, you'll have to make the first move. You will have to be the one to say hi first, to sit down by a different person first, to shut down the gossip first, to welcome someone who is visiting church for the first time first. That'll be you who does that. And this is difficult because we always want someone else to make the first move. But the truth is, it starts with us. And it usually starts with us getting out of our comfort zones. So much is riding on this. That's why Jesus prayed for it near the end of his life. He knew how difficult it would be. He knew that we'd all have a million excuses why it's just too tough to get to unity. He knew that our tendency would always be to let our differences divide us. But if we're going to accomplish the mission Jesus gave us, unity is where it all begins, and unity begins with you. It didn't take long after Jesus' death and resurrection for the church to start changing the world. No one had ever seen folks who were so different from one another stand together. It was a diverse and different. These people from all walks of life worshiping together, from all nationalities, taking care of one another. And they had never seen a group so committed to working together to taking care of those around them. The unity of the early church changed the first century world, which allowed the message of Jesus to change our world. Imagine, maybe it could change your school. What if it could do something in your town? How about your household? How could you today work toward unity? How could you pursue unity this week in your small group? Who could you forgive? Who could you celebrate? Who could you spend time with who might be different than you? Remember, this isn't just a nice thing to do. It's an essential thing to do. Unity is critical to accomplishing any goal, and unity has to come from a genuine place. Jesus wanted to make sure that before he left, his disciples knew that it was vital if the church was going to influence and change the world, because unity starts with you.
There is power, wonder-working power.